Welcome back to another episode of Free the Plant, Free the People. I'm your host, LeVar Eady, and you know this podcast is presented to you by BluRok Farms. Also, we have an affiliate link with leafwell.com, so if you want to get 10% off or $10 off on your medical cannabis card, make sure to visit leafwell.com and use the code BluRokFarm10. As you see on your screen, BluRokFarm10, that's BLUROKFARM 10 for those that are listening on audio only. So welcome to another episode of Free the Plant, Free the People. I'm your host, LeVar Eady, like I mentioned. Peace and prosperity to all my viewers out there. And, you know, we're going to hit you with another jam-packed episode where we talk about everything and anything cannabis related in the industry. And we've expanded to more culture as well and agriculture outside of cannabis as well. But today is going to be a very cannabis-centric episode. And we're going to get into, this episode's titled, The Land of the Land of Enchantment, the Green Frontier, New Mexico's cannabis trends for 2025. So because we're diving into the New Mexico cannabis scene, I had to get a guest, a special guest that keeps his ear to the street and is always tapped in. We have Ryan from Chill's Hydro Alchemy here. So he's gonna break down, you know, what we're thinking of, what we're seeing happening in New Mexico's cannabis scene. So thank you again for coming for another episode.
Thank you for having me.
If you haven't seen it, go check out our other episode that we did on hash. And you know we're going to talk about hash today. We have to.
Gotcha.
So, but I really want to get into today's topic about New Mexico legalizing cannabis, which was for adult use in 2021. So we're now on our fourth year of legalized cannabis for adult use. We had medical for a couple of years prior to that. So I think since 2018 was the medical, if I recall. Don't quote me on that. I don't have the stats in front of me on that particular, but I think it was 2018 for medical and then 2021 for adult use. So let's get into the first segment that I wanted to talk about specifically of economic growth and sales milestones. So it's predicted that that this year that the New Mexico cannabis sales will surpass $1.5 billion in total cannabis sales. That's pretty outstanding, and it indicates that New Mexico's market is flourishing. And we'll get into later what that if we're on the incline, decline, or we're staying steady in that boom era. And adult use is accounting for 1.1 billion of that 1.5 billion dollar total in sales. So the medical use is having an impact, and it is providing sales, but it's not having as large of an impact as the adult use. Is that something that you noticed? Do you still see a lot of people getting cards as they were prior?
No, not near as many, which you should. The card is the way to go. But yeah, the rec is totally taking over the medical game. And it's reflecting in the dispensaries themselves and the way they're selling and taxing things even.
Oh, wow.
So be sure if you have your medical card that you let them know and you're aware that they're putting your medical card benefits, tax-free benefits on there.
Yeah, that is the key. And again, if you need a cannabis card, leafwell.com, BluRokFarm10.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of benefits to having a card. One is, as you said,
True.
the tax benefits. The other aspect of it is that if you're traveling out of state but you're in a state that does still allow medical, you have that ability that if you have it on you, that you're covered.
Not all states will do that. New Mexico is one that will cover out-of-state cards.
And that is correct. So you do need to check your local listings. California is another state that does that as well, that respects medical cards from other states. But again, you do need to check that, but that is another benefit that is added. And I assume that transference of use for medical cards is going to continue as more states become on board. Because
it's a medicine. Your prescription.
It's a medicine, and even outside of that, from just a business perspective, if I'm another business in a legal state, I want as many customers as possible, and if allowing out-of-state medical card users to use their state in my state, that increases the pool of candidates that you have to buy your product. Yeah. So just from a business standpoint, I would want that. And so I would imagine that more entrepreneurs and business owners will push for that in legislation to move forward in that regard. Yeah. And then, that is to me, that's really interesting in the regard of that amount of sales, and then we're seeing changes in some regulations. There's a couple of regulations that are trying to be passed. One of them is being the House Bill 10, which was actually passed, and that one specifically is allowing for the state to hire certified peace officers to investigate and pursue criminal charges against individuals violating cannabis licenses. That I knew this was coming, and I told a couple of people 2 years ago that this was coming. And the way that I knew that it was coming was, if you look at the amount of taxes that was collected from the cannabis sales from medical, and then the first couple of years of adult use, there was a high influx, as well as you can see the 1.5 billion in sales. All of that was taxed, so that's a lot of tax revenue dollars coming in, and the first year of adult use, we saw that they were starting to crack down on violations. We saw people getting their license revoked, suspensions, things of that nature. And we knew that there was more violators than what was being reported. And so I figured that they would take the excess tax dollars and use some of it to hire new people to allow for, enforcement of the CCD rules. And so this, to me, makes perfect sense in that regard. Do I think that it's going to help the problem? I think it will help in some violations, but I don't think it's going to help to the extent that it needs to be. What's your feelings on this bill about having more inspectors to make sure that people are being compliant?
I see it as a double-edged sword, whereas compliance is definitely needed in the industry and especially in this state. But the bad side of that is that, they've got these officers out there that, typically we don't have a very good relationship with law enforcement, cannabis community and such. So, what type of officers are you going to have? Are they going to abuse their power? How easily will they be corruptible? Will it turn into a good old boy system where these guys get the break and these guys, So I look at it more where, like, it's good for the CCD should handle all licensed things, everybody that's licensed, make sure they're in compliance, enforce the rules. But the enforcement, the peace officers, I think they should be in charge of anybody that's not licensed, but that they hear of these big illegal grows going on, a lot of times by the Chinese and such, cartels and other things that are going on that are going unchecked because this local agency doesn't want to touch it or this federal agency doesn't want to touch it for whatever reason. So these guys just keep skating on this illegal level. So I think that needs the actual police enforcement side of it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is the police should be handling the illegal operations. The peace officers should be handling the legal operations. If both of those work in tandem, I think that would allow for a more compliant system. Because I do think we need the compliance aspects on the regulated side because there are people that are getting away with mislabeling, wrong dosage.
Yeah, faking test results.
Exactly. That I was going to say that's the biggest one to me is the faking of the test results because it's more concerning, like I said, for medical patients. If you're getting a specific dosage based off of what you're reading as the description described, it should be accurate.
Yeah, you're getting misdosaged otherwise,
Yeah, and in any other medical field, that would be unacceptable, and so I don't see why we are allowing that to be acceptable in this space.
And I think that's where the CCD needs to regulate more, the lab shopping they call it, and enforce on these labs that are actually doing that kind of stuff because right out the door, off the bat, it's tainted.
Yeah,
automatically that way.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think my guess is that these additional peace officers is the first step to try to get rid of the major compliance issues of potential serving underage people, things of that nature. I think that is their initial goal. I think with the increased tax revenues from moving forward, I think they'll add some of these peace officers specifically for like lab testing, for manufacturing side, for retail side. In more robust ways to take less work off the police officers and less work off of because I think it should be specialized. Those police officers or peace officers, that are inspecting, especially grows, should be well versed in grows, what they're looking for, how they're looking for it. So they, and the only way you can get that is by specified. Because if you have one peace officer that's doing grows, retail, manufacturing, testing, they're not going to be able to be specialized in the knowledge that they need.
What they're looking for specifically.
Exactly. So I think hopefully eventually they'll get to that point where they can have specialized peace officers. This group only goes to cultivation facilities. This group only goes to manufacturing.
Definitely.
This for testing and so on.
That'd be
and
ideal.
I think if we do all that, and then you have the police on the other side for the illegal grows, I think that would be a more robust system to allow for. That would be more beneficial for consumers, making sure that they're getting the product that they're intending to get, and for the business owners that are doing the right job. Because if you're doing the right job, you're properly testing, you're properly growing, you're doing all the compliance issues, and you're having a hard time competing against these people that aren't doing the proper steps, and they're still benefiting from it.
It's frustrating.
It's frustrating. It's going to be hard for you to compete and stay in business. So I think this will hopefully even the playing field. And this is just a step. We'll see how it goes. Of course, there will always be issues, especially with enforcement and rules violations, like you brought up about corruption, things of that nature. But I think if we're proactive in thinking about the potential issues, maybe we can get ahead of it and be able to really
keep an eye on it. Almost police the police, if you will, in that sense. Because
and they should have some sort of accountability to make sure that the people that are supposedly doing these inspections are doing their jobs properly.
Like, who's the internal affairs of these people,
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm interested to see how that goes.
The pros and cons. Definite pros and cons.
Yeah. But I do see a benefit, especially I think good companies will like this. And again, it's going to be a process. It's going to take some time for people to adjust and for those inspectors to get up to speed to the degree that they'll need to. One of the other things that I did want to bring up in regards to the legislation developments, we talked about House Bill 10. There was another House Bill 314 that's involved in streamlining expungement for prior cannabis convictions. To me, this is way late.
Oh, it was supposed to go in initially. As soon as we went rec, it was supposed, hundreds
to me, it
of
should have been
thousands
even
of
before
people.
rec. To me,
Well, most definitely.
the first step. To me, the first step should have been expunging those people. Then it should have been medical, whatever iteration you want to go to. Because how are we allowing people to make profit off of something that people are getting that are currently in jail for?
Exactly. Or if you're not in jail, you're still suffering because it's on your record. So there's a lot of things you can't do in life,
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so I just think, to me, it shows that the people in legislation aren't as quite as sincere in the regards of what they're saying. Because if you were sincere about it, $1, not a cent should have been made before everybody that was under these cannabis convictions were expunged.
I feel they're intentionally dragging their feet on it, though, because it was all a big hoopla to, let's do this, and it's going to be great and grand because all these people are going to get their records expunged, and here we are, 4 years into it, and it ain't happening,
Yeah.
And that particularly targets BIPOC people, especially,
Yeah, I mean, my feelings on it is, I definitely agree with you that it's, I believe it's by design. I do believe that is the case. Because if you, and the reason why I say is by design is if you look at it from this perspective, like I said, my perspective is not a cent should have been made on this industry until the people that are in jail for it were released. Because if you were really sincere about wanting to right the wrongs of this and make this industry right, you would put the people in position that were harmed by it at the forefront of it so that they can make the profit off of it. And as you said, they're dragging their feet on the expungement. They're dragging their feet on the social equity program, which we're going to get into a little bit later.
For the same reason.
Yeah, exactly. Would have given these people that have been affected by it the leg up to allow them to get a foothold in the industry, where the way that they did it now, cookies, urban wellness, Pure Life to a degree, have acquired so much of the market shares that these people getting expunged, even if they got expunged today, they were given $1 million to start their businesses, they still would be in a position where they wouldn't be accurately able to compete with these larger companies
so
to
far
get
behind.
the market shares needed to really make a difference and create the generational wealth that they deserve for the incarceration that they went through.
Yeah.
That's my view on it, and that's why I do agree with you that it is intentional, it's directed. It's to pigeonhole the people that have the best experience and the best likelihood to succeed in this space, to hold them back while you allow people that haven't been affected by it, majority white people, to get in the space and make the profit, garner the market shares, to be able to, in essence, create monopolies that will impede any minority company from truly succeeding.
And they're really doing that on a local scale here with the MOSs and the mom and pops.
Yep.
They're phasing them out, and they're changing all the legislation to help them be able to do that. Along with this, when you have to have all your products, all your packaging, everything in compliance. Compliance costs a lot of money.
Yep.
These MOSs have whole teams that they pay and lawyers to make sure they're on top of compliance. Little guys don't have that. So with the CCD enforcing more and more on the little guy, they're going to keep getting pushed out till all that's left is the big guys.
And that goes back to what you were saying about
By
the double-edged
design.
sword of that, but also the double-edged sword of having these additional inspectors. What I will say to that, there are companies that are geared to help smaller businesses with compliance.
The plug. Shout out to the plug.
I'm not. I mean, I do know them, but I don't know their detail in compliance well enough for me personally to recommend them. But I do know that's their space. But there's another company that I do know of. So anybody that is interested in finding more information about smaller companies that help with compliance for mom and pops, smaller companies, feel free to reach out to me through email, Instagram, those methods. Because I don't have the name of the company off the top of my head right now. But I do know a couple of them, and I don't want to just misspeak their names. That's why I don't want to just say it. But reach out to me, and I'll definitely share that information because we want as many of you to be as successful as you can. And if compliance is the thing that's holding you back, you can definitely reach out to those companies, as well as my company. We consult, and part of our consulting aspect is to help people with compliance. I've been in this space for a very long time in multiple states, so I know multiple state compliances, and that's how it's made me able to kind of predict where New Mexico is going in their compliance phases, is by looking at other states, how they've gone through compliances, what were the factors that were dictating them making those decisions about compliance, and then that's how I use it. But we can definitely assist with that in that area. Chelsea, which we had on the podcast as well, she's very good at doing consulting, and I know she's compliant based as well, so she's very good at compliance assistance as well. So yeah, definitely reach out to us if you have or want assistance in that area at a more affordable price range. Nothing is free. I will say, because time is money and people's time is important, and
especially your knowledge too.
Yeah, and their expertise. So, but it is at a more feasible rate for those out there. And then I know for me in my consulting, we have a sliding scale, and I believe Chelsea as well has a sliding scale as well that can help people meet you where you are. I definitely agree with you on that point of it is by design. It is to help keep the small people down. It is to allow for these bigger corporations to come in and swoop in. And that's why the things that we say about working together is important. Because if you don't work together, that is one of the things that I will say about the plug. In my experience, they are at a lot of places trying to tap in with the people. Now, to the degree at which that is, I can't speak further than that, but I've seen that in a lot of different functions.
That's where I met you, actually.
Yeah, tapping in with them.
I just know Matt is very tied into the legislation aspect of it all.
He's very knowledgeable in the legislation aspect.
Very much
so. But yeah, that's something to think about as well. I do want to, we're cutting in on time. I do want to get into the social equity aspect and the community reinvestment that New Mexico is planning to do. So as of May of this year, Albuquerque launched a program that's basically to help, it's a basic income program in part with cannabis tax revenue. The way that it works is basically to taking some of the money from the tax revenue to begin a program that is an initiative program to help provide $750 monthly payments to 80 different families from low academic performances and disproportionately affected, basically affected by the war on drugs, which that money should be going to. And for my estimation, more, even more. And it should be not only given to those families in these situations, it should be in places. This is the issue that I had with the social equity program, specifically in New Mexico. It's not a social equity program. A social equity program means that it's specifically designed to help focus and affect a proportion of people that have been affected by the war on drugs. The social equity program that is currently in place outside of this program that we're talking about here is the microloan aspect. That's not a social equity program.
And they're pulling that anyway.
And they are pulling that. But even with that, that's not social equity, because if I'm a rich white man and I can apply for the microloan, and you're a poor black person or poor Latin person or poor whatever other minority group that you want to say, and we're both competing for the same license, then how is that social equity? That's like saying, take this pill, it makes everybody feel better, but it's not gonna make, just because you got cancer, it's not gonna make you get over the cancer. Like that
was their other big selling point. Was besides the expungements was the social equity, especially for people with prior convictions or BIPOC people, to give them a level playing field. And you just said why it's not. You know? Yeah. Now, it never will be because of that.
Exactly. Now it could have been, even in the iteration that they try to put forth, but you had to make requirements. You have to come from a disproportionate family. I wouldn't have qualified, and I'm fine with that. Mm-hmm. But people that would have been in that class would have been able to have successful businesses that stayed in the space. Mm-hmm. And been able to, again, I still don't think the microloan business, the way that, especially specifically with cultivation, the plant count and things of that nature hindered their ability to really be able to scale up. That was my
competitive.
To scale up and be competitive with other people. That was my issue with that. But if they wanted to go with that route, yes, if you made it said, similar to, and again, every program, there's no perfect program, there's no perfect system. It is what it is. Every system is going to have its flaws. California's social equity programs has a lot of flaws in it, but it also has a lot of good points in it. One of the things that I brought up specifically that they could have brought here with the micro business loan that they had is either keep it that way, make the requirement that you have to prove that you were from an affected neighborhood, or incarcerated, or expunged, or something, or a family member, something that shows
it should be like financial aid.
Exactly. That there's some requirements. If you fit in these requirements, you get it. Yeah. If you don't, then you don't. Yeah. That means if you don't fit in these requirements, it means you have the means or access to be able to do this where they don't. Yeah. That gave them the leg up. I think they should have waived the licenses for people that were expunged. So that, because again, when you get locked up, specifically a federal charge, your capacity to earn money is significantly decreased. Yeah. Cannabis industry is a capital intensive business, specifically cultivation. If you don't have money, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make a cultivation business. It's impossible.
You've got slim margins, you know.
So if you don't have capital already, and if your financial capacity was already limited because of you being locked up for something you shouldn't have been because now it's legal, you're not going to be able to be competitive in the space anyways. So those are the things that I think that should have been in place and added to really make it a social equity program. But as you said, they're getting rid of the micro
and the micro licenses, and that gets me because, you know, it's craft over corporations, and that's the important thing. That's what we need to focus on here if we want to keep our industry in the state local and, you know, just pure. You know, your local farmers represent New Mexico, you know.
You know, I definitely agree. I could talk about the social equity spot all day. I think eventually we should have a another episode where we talk about social equity in more detail.
Because I'm big on that too. I come from those neighborhoods where that money's going to. So I'm all about that.
I really want to have that conversation. We'll definitely have you back on for it. I think I'll reach out to Julieta as well, of owner of Amnesia. I'm not sure if she quite falls under social equity, but I know the people that she serves and cares about tend to be from those type of communities, and I think she would have great insight on the impact that this program that they're trying to implement will have, as well as other ways and other programs that they should implement, and how she might see it affecting her on the retail side. So to get more into that. Never feels like we have enough time.
Never is, brother.
But I do want to real quick is, what are you seeing in the New Mexico cannabis space that, let's do this or that kind of way of this in the regard of things that you're excited about in the space, and then things of improvement that you see for the space coming up in 2025 that most people that aren't as in tuned to or have their ears to the street as you do might not realize.
Well, I think one of the good things is that a lot of the smaller craft farmers have been pushed out with these water restrictions. That's another thing we could get to.
Yes,
that's terrible.
We are going to talk about that because that's very, very big. I've been bringing it up since the licenses were released. That's going to affect smaller producers more than larger ones. But
most definitely. And the ones that are able to survive, that have the water rights and everything good and gravy, I'm seeing a lot of collaboration between them, and that's I think that's key. Most important. We're not enemies with each other. There's enough out here for all of us to get it, and if we work together, the more we get, the faster.
Collaboration over competition.
Collaboration over competition. I think the education is continuing to grow, education of consumers, education of the growers and the manufacturers themselves. It's a constant growing, evolving science, and you can never learn enough if you're a grower about growing. How we love that living soil. Still learning things about it. Same with the Temple Ball hash manufacturing. I'm still learning things about that. So always continue the education, but to educate the people like you're doing with your podcast and your company, and with the farmers market, the different things that we do to just reach out to the consumer, because education is key, because a lot of people are just smokers. They don't know all the details to all the inside stuff, they just enjoy smoking. So we got to kind of make people aware of kind of the slippery slope we're really on right now,
Yeah, bridge the gap, because you are absolutely right in the regard of, if we're at a pivotal point here in New Mexico right now, if we wait too long, there's going to only be corporate cannabis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's almost looking like it's designed to be that way.
I mean, no, it is. One of the things that the wealth gap is going to increase over the next 5 to 10 years. Some of that's going to be a result of AI. Some of it is going to be a result of legislation and other things. And then specifically in the cannabis space, it's going to be the haves and the have-nots in that regard. And so if these smaller organizations don't collaborate together to form basically a co-op, they need to come together and form Voltron.
Yeah.
And to be able to compete against the cookies, the larger MSOs, because if not, they're going to do exactly what they are doing. They're going to continue to lower their prices. It's going to be a race to the bottom, and they know they have the capital to withstand that race to the bottom. The smaller companies aren't going to, and then they're going to be pushed out. The other aspect of it is those larger corporate cannabis companies don't have to care about quality, because the price margins are going to be so low that they know that will get consumers. And then once all of the small mom and pops that have the higher quality are out, they really don't have to care about quality at that point.
It's straight boof garbage at that point.
And then you have nothing, there's no competition for them to have a standard of quality. You're going to get what you're going to get.
That traditional market, it's going to open back up at that point.
It will open back up, but at that point, the margins are going to be so wide that those larger corporations, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, and well,
and
cookies
if it is
is
gonna
Coke
matter,
to a lot of people. That's
Yeah.
their brand,
Yeah.
and they'll stick with it regardless.
Exactly. So that's going to be the issue in that regard. But again, yeah, these smaller companies have to come together, form like Voltron, realize it's collaboration over competition. And my suggestion to them is, you need to come together as much as you can, and right now you need to garner at least 5 to 10% of the market share. If you guys don't gather that 5 to 10% of that market share, it's done, because you're not gonna get it back.
No. Once they got their grasp on it,
They're not gonna get it back, and they're gonna just keep on buying them out.
And it's the
these
Walmart.
these smaller companies.
Cannabis. Yeah.
If you have a choice between your business failing or being bought out by cookies, you're gonna take being bought out by cookies, because it's so. And the opportunity is gonna be easy. So. If we don't want that to happen here in New Mexico, we got to do the things that need to happen for that to happen. You need to really spend your dollar where you really think it's going to matter.
Shop mom and pop, buy local, support local growers, manufacturers, dispos, all that.
And the same thing on the mom and pop side of work on the quality. You have to make sure your quality is good so that you can maintain these customers. And then also come together is like, hey, I don't have the file you're looking for right now. We sold out. But go over here.
Yeah.
My homie got it over there. I don't get any profits off of it, but I want him to be successful, because if he's successful, hopefully later on when I'm struggling, they can help us out. And vice versa. And you keep that synergy going and that collaboration going, and then you're in a space to be able to maintain.
And I think mom and pops have the opportunity to be the standard for quality.
I agree, 100%.
And the rest can be the rest, but
and
we'll represent the quality.
I agree, and I think if you do those two things of maintaining the quality and collaborating, you'll be able to get that 5 to 10% market share, and you'll be able to hold on to that. And then when it gets to the point where the quality drops so low because the race to the bottom,
then you'll start coming back.
Exactly. Then you'll be able to get some of those, go from that 5% or that 10% market share to getting to 12, 15%, 20% market share.
Yeah. I agree.
And that will be the case, because we see it happening in the beer space. Budweiser's there, Michelob, all these other larger corporations, but in every city and every state, you still have your smaller breweries that are still being very successful and still making it. But they withstand that major run that happened with the alcohol companies in the 90s.
Yeah.
Let's just kind of keep that framework in mind and learn the lesson that some of those companies didn't learn, so that we can make it.
Most definitely.
We didn't get to hash, guys. I am sorry.
We'll do another one.
We will have to do another one. Ryan is here. He'll always be back.
I'm always down to come back.
I appreciate him, and yeah, we're gonna have him back for another one. We'll have to do definitely a hash, another straight hash episode. There's a couple of people that I think would be really good for that episode too. So maybe get Lano back with the glass and talk about pipes that can be used for hash.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think that would be a good episode. And then talking about, you kind of telling the things that you might like about pieces that for hash smoking. And then he can tell you from the glass maker's perspective of, yeah, that's hard, that's feasible, this is not, da-da-da-da-da. Just kind of get deeper into both of those worlds and having them collide together.
For sure.
So I want to say thank you again, Ryan. Chill's Hydro Alchemy. Definitely check them out on Instagram, Facebook, all social media. We didn't get to that. We are going to get to a conversation about social media and the hate on the cannabis side, but we'll get there. But definitely check us out on YouTube. Go check out BluRok Farms. And if you haven't, make sure you get your cannabis card. Use the code BluRokFarm10 at leafwell.com. That's BLUROKFARM 10. And that works at any state. And they usually get you evaluated within 24 hours. And then you get your card and you'll be able to use those discounts everywhere. And feel free to leave us a message. Let us know what we should talk about next. And let us know what you're smoking on. So, before we get out of here, what you smoking on today?
I'm about the Tropicana cookies. I like that GMO with the papaya. Boom. Beautiful marriage.
Got you. What am I on today? What did I have today? This morning I had lamb's bread, which is a sativa dominant Jamaican landrace strain that I'm really, really, really enjoying lately. And I got my hands on a couple of seeds and a clone of it.
Hey, quick edit. Garlic juice is what I was talking about. GMO and papaya.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Yep, no worries. So that's what I've been smoking on, lamb's bread. And then after this, I am probably going to smoke on, what was that? Jelly donuts. I was like, that's what it was. Jelly donuts. So thank you again for listening to another episode of Free the Plant, Free the People. I'm your host, LeVar Eady, and we're out. Smoke something good.